I approve of this. I am now a proud believer and a proud defender of donair sauce and garlic fingers. But there's a big question here. Do you think, because of its shape and the components, it is a pizza?
Yes, yes, I do, and here's why: is because I've watched a lot of pizza content on YouTube. I am
Mm-hmm.
very into pizza. It's my favorite food. And you know that a lot of people might say it's their favorite food, but no, it's my favorite food. Like people don't understand. You could
Yeah.
ask Lisa. No, but anyways, I've seen a lot of pizza related content on YouTube, and some people have also argued if garlic bread like this or garlic fingers, as long as it has like cheese and whatnot, is or isn't pizza. There
Mm-hmm.
was a very popular pizza. I can't remember specifically from where. I want to say that it was in California or maybe it's in New York. It was from this God. It was that one YouTube channel, the BuzzFeed one, where they go and try different price range of pizzas.
Oh
Anyways,
yeah, worth it.
yes, worth it. One of the owners in one of the pizza episodes made a pizza with no sauce. It was the bread, the cheese, and like
Mm.
olive oil and some other stuff on there. But there was no sauce on it. He wanted them to experience what a pizza would taste like without so much tomato in it, and just kind of appreciate the dough and all the other flavors that come into that pizza specifically, and the tomato doesn't
Mm-hmm.
get in the way. And I agree. I agreed with him. I think specifically these garlic fingers are actually really good as well, and I would consider it a pizza. If somebody were to serve it to me and they said, "Hey, this is a pizza," I'd be like, "Okay, sure." It has
So
almost all the components except for the sauce, but
so
I like
for
it.
me, the deciding factor is not the absence of tomato sauce because I make like I've made so many pizzas. You can actually ask Lisa. Let's just I think at some point we'll have to just get Lisa on the show because
Yeah,
she sounds like the
we'll do a
most
segment
valuable
called
guest.
"Ask Lisa."
Yeah, we'll have a segment at the end of the season where we spend 10 minutes asking questions to Lisa, and then she leaves very confused as to why she's hanging out with either of us. But um, in college, that pizza was the food that I made most because it
Hmm.
required some technical skills. But the biggest thing was it was affordable to make, and once you had the right techniques down in terms of kneading, shaping, proofing, and then topping and baking correctly, you
Hmm.
could make a pizza worth easily 30-40 bucks for about five.
Hmm.
So whenever I had people over, I would always make pizza, and I have it down. Well, I've made pizza with white sauce, pesto sauce, everything.
Right.
I think I would draw the line at a pizza where there's butter. I think that is not it's not because of the absence of tomato. I will accept that as necessary in order to get a good pizza. It's
Hmm.
at the presence of butter.
Hmm.
I think if we are not considering it as cheesy bread, because I've heard that if I say that, Nova Scotia is going to kill me. We should at least consider it as a flatbread. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree.
I
Actually, I completely forgot flatbreads existed, and I had one like last week. I just it didn't even see because I wasn't thinking about pizza, so I think I actually subconsciously agree with you that it would be a flatbread actually.
Hell yeah. I think if there's anything I've accomplished in my life, it's to make people understand that the second you put butter on the pizza, it's no longer a pizza. But I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, to me that's it. It's important to understand that you can't just put butter and cheese on a dough, bake it, and call it garlic fingers. It
Right.
does have a shape that is reminiscent of pizza, but
Hmm.
then it is cut in a very specific way to get those long rectangular strips.
Right.
So I do think it's as close as it can get to being pizza. I will forever argue until the day I die that it's not a pizza because of the presence of butter. That's my hot take. That's my hill to stand on. But if there's something we've established today is that we tend to be wrong and we should often back up our statements. So, in 6 months I might open myself up. We don't know.
You might change your mind. It just randomly turns out to be a pizza this whole time.
I mean, I might read a thesis by a professor at like the University of Toronto or something, or like the University of Rotterdam, where they're like, no, 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 actually, based on like historical data, this is a pizza.
This is why garlic fingers are a pizza.
Yeah,
God, that would be
this
so
is
funny.
why you're obviously wrong. Like, okay, sure. Like, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I feel like it's a fair opinion backed up by the evidence that butter is not a pizza sauce because you can't get that at any pizzeria.
I agree.
Like
Yeah.
that's in the bread basket category.
Yeah. I think as
You
soon
know?
as you said flatbread, that's when I immediately changed. I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, actually, you make perfect sense. So I agree with you.
Well,
I agree
because
with you.
the big question is if it's not pizza, what is it? And of course, the primary answer is, oh yeah, garlic fingers. But the category in which it fits is kind of tricky. I think
Hmm.
flatbread is the realm where anything can happen. So,
Yeah.
for example, I designed a vegan pizza once, which is as hard as it sounds. It is, however, the most beautiful recipe I've ever done. It was a pizza dough. It's actually the recipe I wrote for you to use if you
Hmm.
weren't going to be able to buy your own pizza dough.
Hmm.
It's a dough with oregano in it, and then there's an artichoke sort of creamy sauce that's actually pretty thick that is layered on top, like a nice thick layer. And
Hmm.
then what I did is I sliced zucchini very, very thin and I smothered it in seasoning, including chipotle and garlic. I
Hmm.
layered that on top. I covered it with pine nuts that got really funky and toasty in the oven
Yeah.
to give it sort of that umami. And then I baked that. But now we have to be honest with ourselves. What I baked did not have any sauce that was proper classic sauce, and it did not have cheese because I
Hmm.
think vegan cheese is not where it needs to be right now in terms of engineering. It doesn't taste good. I'm very sorry.
I'll be
So,
completely honest with you here, though. Have you ever
huh?
tried? I think it's like Violife or Biolife.
Life. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yes.
I like them.
Okay,
So,
great. Because I was gonna say that's the only vegan cheese I have found that I genuinely like. The
oh
cheese
yeah.
smells like farts, but it tastes like popcorn. And I told
So,
this.
yeah.
I literally told Lisa this, and I was like, "It smells like farts, but it tastes like popcorn." And after she tried it and smelled it, she's like, "You're right. Oh my god."
So, yeah. Violife, if I'm not mistaken, is a great company that makes vegan cheese and it's really good. I eat vegan cheese a little bit. So I'm a vegetarian, so that means that I do eat like dairy and eggs, but I
Mhm.
try to dabble in vegan cheese. And the forms of vegan cheese that I enjoy are ones that don't require to be melted because that's where usually the vegan cheese cannot compete. Now, there's a company in the US called Perfect Day that is currently engineering cheese that is vegan, but that is essentially genetically identical to dairy to the point where it's still a risk for people who are allergic to dairy because it's just that close.
Right.
I think those folks basically what they're doing is they're selling their technique to food producers instead of coming up with products themselves. So I know right now they're starting to roll out a couple of products across the US and it's going to
Mhm.
come to Canada in the next 3 years at the most. So I know good vegan cheese is coming. In the meantime, I am obsessed with the Violife feta. Their parmesan is absolutely incredible.
Never
And
had it.
then hmm?
I've never had their Parmesan. I'm curious.
I'll bring it to you. It's hard to get, but it's really good. And then there's a company in Ontario that makes vegan brie that is cashew based and cultured. And it's really spreadable, creamy goodness.
Hmm.
And they have a type where the name is unbelievable. That one I will buy any day of the week.
I would just
But
buy it
on
for from the name, just the name alone. I would buy it. I'm a sucker for good marketing.
That's actually the reason why I bought it in the first place. I was like, I hate vegan cheese, unbelievable. Absolutely, you've got me.
Exactly.
But so yeah, I designed that pizza like knowing that the technology wasn't there yet, so I couldn't put my name or my stamp on a cheese I didn't approve. So by creating a pizza that didn't have cheese or the classic sauce, I realized I could not naming it pizza because I don't have that clout just yet. So I decided to name it a flatbread. And I think that's where the future of pizza has to be until it's accepted into the mainstream. It has to be the world of flatbread. It's much more open.
I agree.
But yeah, so those are, the classic pizzas that are, Canadian style. Out of the three today, which one was your favorite?
That was God, that's a really hard one. Am I including just the pizza, or can I also include like the third one with the sauce, like as an experience, or just as the pizza?
Okay, out of the three items we've tried today, which one is your favorite?
The third one. Oh my God, the cheesy, sorry, the garlic fingers with the donair sauce. I'm sorry, that completely blew me away. I was not expecting that. I was definitely gonna go with Hawaiian pizza at first, but that blew me
Same.
away. That really blew me away. I really, really enjoyed that. If I could try that again for the first time, I would. Like if I could experience that again for the first time, that was the
Well,
craziest
okay,
reaction.
okay. If you want to find solace in all of this, remember that we're recording and we don't have close access to a reheating device. The second this is wrapped up, you'll get to try it really warm. So that's going to be a delightful experience. I will say I agree with you. So, Windsor style pizza, sorry, Windsor, I love you guys, but to me, it's a very classic pizza and it's not too far off the beaten path. So, while
Yes,
I love
exactly.
it, and I would like really, really love if anyone would hook me up with a place that makes it vegetarian in Windsor and like they can tell me this is the OG, it uses the right cheese and everything. I would try it and I would drive for it, no problem. But my number one is the garlic fingers because that is the best one out of any of them. It remains a comfort food from college, but now they've sort of leveled it up with the most controversial sauce of all times, which is actually not rooted in controversy. Sweet and sour is delicious. And then I would put Hawaiian. I guess ultimately, I really love sweet and sour. I guess I'm more Canadian than I thought. I don't know.
No, ultimately the flatbread won in the pizza episode, which is redundant
Damn.
because we're talking about pizza and it's something that isn't even pizza. One, I'm just it was
Yeah.
so good. It was a good combination.
Yeah, the black sheep won. That's kind of crazy.
Literally, oh my God, I feel
I love
ashamed.
this. Yeah, I mean too. I feel like we talk a big game because we know a lot about food, but we'll always be impressed by the the one who's not the runner up, the one who might not even be included in the race. That's the
Yeah,
best one. So I'm really
I'm
impressed.
really looking forward to trying the original, real deal type stuff because
Oh yeah.
I had this one experience once, very off topic. A lot of people have had barbecue. Typical
Mhm.
barbecue foods, specifically in the South. Barbecue is very different. It's not just like barbecue sauce type stuff. It's a whole uh, like a whole section, or a whole what's the word? A whole theme. It's
Mhm.
in its own like bracket. Barbecue foods in the South is a whole different thing. I
Yeah.
once went to Louisiana. Was it
Mhm.
Louisiana? Mm, no, I'm thinking St. Louis. Where's St. Louis? I can't even think. I went to St. Louis. I went
Okay.
to St. Louis, and over in St. Louis, they have this location called Pappy's, and it's a barbecue
Mhm.
spot. It's in Missouri. Thank you, thank you. Um, uh, and I've had really good barbecue before because I did live in the South. And when I had Pappy's, this reaction here brought me back to that day because I cried. I cried from how good that food was. I've never ever in my life have had barbecue like that before. Oh my! And we waited an hour for this. So we
Yeah.
waited an hour outside in the cold. I mean, it was only like fall, but it was so
No,
worth it.
but you earned it. You really fought for something that was in high demand, and it probably got frustrating, and you probably along the way questioned why you were even doing this in the first place. So to have such a validating experience is probably really shocking.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like this sauce with the garlic fingers brought me back to that moment. I definitely cried a lot more then, but this almost hit a little bit close, just because of how shocking it was. Like I think it was the shock
Yeah.
factor that really gets me because back in St. Louis when I tried this, I was so shocked by the experience. I could not believe that I got to live that. Like it's crazy to me to it was crazy for me to think that I'm alive to experience this because what the heck? The
Oh, I like
experience in my mouth is
I
so
know
insane.
I know exactly what you mean. There's been times in my life, like I often talk about this Viet vegan restaurant called Saigon Lotus in Toronto. They're in the Kensington Market, and I will die for them. They make a banh mi that is barbecue meat. Like that's literally the name. Don't ask questions. That's what it is. But the first time I had it, I had basically a free Uber Eats gift card, and I was like, might as well try something new. The like, if anyone has ever had seitan, I will say it until the day I die. We in Canada don't do it right, but that place did. I took a bite, and it was this juicy, like thoroughly seasoned, flavorful, lightly chewy, not too chewy, and charred meat. And then it really had a lot of textural variety. And I just took a bite, and then I got the little spicy sauce that came with it, and I got the pickled vegetables, and I just got a mouthful of perhaps the most complex and layered vegan meat of all times, and just vegan sandwich of all times. And I am a vegetarian who will easily talk smack about vegetarian food, and I had never been proven so wrong. And it was this sort of mind blowing moment where I realized that from my own perspective and my own, food knowledge experience, I could, like, I was missing out on so much because other people's experiences and knowledge was giving me so much. And it made me feel emotional. I was just standing there and I was like, think about everything you'll never experience because you haven't
Yes.
grown up in that specific culture that has a specific thing. And now
Exactly. Oh my
I
God.
have the chance to experience it. And I was literally in that restaurant eating the banh mi, and all I could think was, how many fruits are there out there that I haven't tried? Or how many types of vegan meat are out there that I haven't done? Like, a
Hmm.
lot of people tell me that the Indian way of making tempeh will blow my mind, whereas currently I don't like the tempeh when I make
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So it's just those shocking moments where you realize how much you've been missing out on because you haven't gone off the beaten path.
Yes.
It's it's insane.
It
It's
is. It
wild.
really is. I think Western cultures really need to step up their game with vegan or vegetarian foods. I
Yeah.
have tried being vegan and vegetarian before, and I've succeeded up until I decided to stop it. It wasn't
Yeah.
that difficult to do it, but I do
Mhm.
find some hardships in doing that diet sometimes, just because some of the foods are not good. They like
That's like, yeah.
it just doesn't taste
Well,
good. Like even if I try to season it in a specific way, it doesn't taste good. But then I don't know how they do it. But I try Eastern type foods. Like
oh, yes.
I have had I had the craziest eggplant dish one time from a coworker that was Moroccan back in Florida.
Mhm.
I have never had an eggplant dish like that before, ever.
Oh, it's
And I was like, this is
mind-boggling.
really good. And I was like, how did you make this? And she's like, she didn't really explain it that well. I'm like, how did you make this? You need to tell me how to make this because I need to make this every day.
Yeah.
And she could not explain it well. And I'm like, I can't believe that I will never have this dish again because my coworker just couldn't explain this to me properly. I
So I have a lot of vegetarian cookbooks, and now if you want a good vegan Western cookbook, you need to check out anything by Chloe Coscarelli.
mhm.
I will once again back her up until the day I die. Her recipes are wonderful. They're simple. The ingredients are inventive, and it's nutritious, which it doesn't have to be. But if it's a cookbook you use all the time, that's great. But every other vegan cookbook that I have that will actually reach out for and use, to me, it has to be from like addressing a non-Western culture. Because I think when it comes to food, we'll always miss out on the best experiences if we only start off from our perspective. And I think the
Mhm.
second you dive off into the deep end, you come out with food experiences that make your life so much richer and deeper, and your understanding of food gets so much better. So when I do those weird things like making a donair sauce or putting canned mushrooms on pizza.
I
A
agree.
part of me is just like grateful that I get to experience something that I've never had
Hmm.
and to maybe be proven wrong about how I feel about it. I think every time you delve off the deep end when it comes to food, you come out of it so much better. Yeah.
I think it's yeah, real quick. I agree so much with that last statement because it's weird to me now that I would be a lot more open to trying sweetened condensed milk with some sort of acidity added to it. Just it never clicked in my head to try this.
Yeah.
And now I feel like
That's
I'm a
all you
lot
can
more
do.
I'm yes, I'm literally my mind has been even more opened than it was
So
before.
simple.
It's
Yeah.
just crazy to me. Like it's crazy how food can really change your perspective on so many things and how it can even introduce you to different cultures. Yeah, and like the curiosity behind researching
It's
more into these cultures. Like now I want to go to Nova Scotia and try this.
oh,
Before this, I would have just been like, oh,
absolutely.
whatever, I don't care. Now I want to. It like awakes that inside me, and it's just like
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that.
So there's this thing that I would want to do. I so late at night because I have this very public belief that one day I'll be rich and famous, which is not me manifesting. It's me being egocentric. But if I think late at night of what my Netflix show would be,
Yeah.
and my favorite would be to just walk into a grocery store of a specific region of the world that I've never been to before and I've never tried, and just pause and take the time to search and look for vegetarian snacks, foods, and frozen meals that I've never had before. I feel like when we get a Netflix show, that's just what we're gonna do. We're just gonna go off the deep end. Like once we make the producers happy and go to Nova Scotia and have a baller time, we're then gonna
Hmm.
come back to Toronto and just go to random grocery stores. Like that would make me so happy.
Yeah, I look forward to our Netflix show. God, that'd be
I mean,
great.
HBO, you can get in touch with us too. We're open, but like Netflix first. We'll get
Anything that
we'll
will
still
help me travel for food,
yeah.
it could literally
Yeah.
be I don't care. It could be YouTube.
Yeah. I'm not so
You know
sure
what I
about
mean though.
YouTube,
Like
honestly, but
as long as I can travel
I,
and try foods, I don't care who it is.
listen, I'm just trying to get us a nice contract, but if you want to go straight for YouTube, we can do YouTube.
No, it's
Now,
fine.
we've gone really far into, all the different types of pizzas that currently exist. But once we're rich and famous, what would your pizza with your name on it be? Like, what would the Juan be?
Okay. I This is a really specific question, and I don't have a very specific answer. I've
That's okay.
mentioned before that I love pizza. It is my favorite food in the world. I could have this every day. So I do have a couple of options, and maybe I could combine everything into one and then give it a name at the end. But it
Yeah.
could be a margarita style pizza with fresh mozzarella, and it's the type that comes in like water, or the type that you would
Yeah.
add on top of like a fancy chicken parm or a caprese
Mhm.
salad. It's that type of mozzarella. I love this type of mozzarella on pizza. It's definitely not low moisture because it is in water.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that low moisture cheese is actually really good on pizza as well for a lot of good
Oh yeah.
reasons, obvious reasons. But this type of cheese on a margarita style pizza, I just love margarita style pizza. It's so simple, it's so basic, but the cheese and the crust and the basil, I am a sucker for basil on
Oh,
pizza.
it's beautiful. It tastes delicious, and the pull and the mozzarella and the caramelization you get on it, like it's all gorgeous. Yeah.
It's just so good. But I am also a sucker for New York style pizza. I'm a sucker for any pizza, but New York style pizza, it's just fantastic. So, for me, my pizza has to have a somewhat thin crust. It's not I I don't have anything against thick pizza. I actually love pan pizza. Oh my God, that could be a whole other. I could talk about this for 30 minutes. But my ideal pizza, like let's just say I wake up one day and I'm like, I'm really craving pizza. I always picture a thin crust, somewhat thin, and it has
Mm.
to be made in a furnace, a fucking wood-fired furnace or whatever type of. It has to be one of those really nice furnaces where you put it in and you could see from all the way over here. I could see that there's like wood inside the furnace and it's burning up and like the pizza's
Oh yeah.
bubbling and like that type of furnace. And
Hmm.
I really like that, a really nice mix of savory and slightly sweet. This is wow, like we literally just had a whole conversation about this. I like that mix, savory and slightly sweet tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Uh, I like it. I like feeling that little tanginess if that sauce is a little bit sweet. I again, fresh mozzarella. It has to be.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know if this had a specific name, but I do remember back in Florida, there's a place called Blaze Pizza where
Hmm.
it's like a build your own pizza, right? And they have the
Hmm.
pizza or the cheese is called Ovalini mozzarella, at least in over
Mm.
there. And it's the same thing. It's literally just fresh mozzarella, but it's so good. Um, but yeah, anyways, it has to be fresh mozzarella.
Hmm.
Pepperoni, but not too much because I've noticed that Quebec loves to stack their pizzas with literally all the
They
pepperoni that
put
comes in the
so much.
containers.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
when I
It's
had a
dangerous
when I had
enough.
a Quebec style pizza here, I was like, "Oh, where's the
That's
pizza? This is all
wild.
pepperoni." No
Yeah.
offense,
Oh
I
no, we were
love it.
pretty
Oh my
aggressive.
god, I love this pizza. But again,
Yeah.
my ideal pepperoni, just not too much, and it has to have sausage as well. There's a huge, huge difference between crumbled sausage on a pizza and the type where let's just assume that the whole wiener is there and you just it and then just put it on a
Hmm.
pizza. That makes the pizza completely different. It is not the same
Yeah.
experience. The flavor is not the same, and it just cannot be. It has to be crumbled Italian sausage. That makes the
Hmm.
pizza the best. It cannot be sliced. Um, I would also ideally like red or white onions. It really depends on the mood and the occasion. Red onions for thin sliced, white onions for a thicker sliced pizza. Um, that it's just it's a whole thing I have in my head. And pineapple. I again,
Yeah.
God, I'm literally a hoe for pineapple. I on pizza, pineapple on pizza. It
Mhm.
is a go-to for every single pizza that I have. Olive oil would be great. Dried oregano, fresh basil, and Parmesan cheese to top it. It is a lot to take in. I have literally explained so much. There's like 80
Yeah.
toppings on this, but that's what I picture. What would I call
Yeah.
this? God, that's a good question.
So, if you want, I can sum up your pizza, and then I think I have a pretty good name for it. So, essentially, because like you essentially listed most of the toppings on a pizza, but I respect that. I like your game. So, essentially, you would have a thin New York style crust, a really large pizza, a bubbling crust with a little bit of char on it if you're doing wood fired.
I agree.
Then
Yes.
you would have mozz. You would have a little bit of pepperoni, so probably more English style than Quebec style, which is
Hmm.
smart and conservative because then it has more room for everything else. So
Yes.
you would have crumbled spicy Italian sausage. You would have, I mean, in this case, I think it would benefit from that little bit of kick and a little bit of color from the red onion, really thinly sliced.
Yes, exactly.
Then,
Especially because of the sausage as well. It just mixes really well, in my opinion.
yeah, and then if you have a good spread on the pepperoni, which again, I commend the conservative approach to it. You'll have plenty of room for like little chunks of pineapple,
Hmm.
and then you have olive oil, dried oregano, like and just torn fresh basil, and a nice little dollop of Parmesan cheese on top. I mean, that gives you that little extra tang and funk that makes
Hmm.
pizza special. I would call it the loaded Hawaiian. That would be
I
the name for it.
I agree. That's actually a really good name. That's really good. That would have never crossed my mind. I like that.
Well, I think just a nod to pineapple would really work.
Hmm.
Or like even another name, you could call it the American Hawaiian. That would be to me that would be funny.
Yeah,
But I think
maybe.
the loaded Hawaiian would be a better fit and I like the idea of pineapple and fresh basil together. So I think I would try your pizza and I assume I would like it, honestly. Cuz
I don't
you
think it
didn't
would
name.
disappoint if I'm being honest.
Oh no. Oh
Unless
no, it
people are
would
really
slap.
picky with food, I don't think it would disappoint. But
No,
you also
I
just
think you
also
went
remember it
smart.
has to be fresh mozzarella, so there cannot be any shredded mozzarella. If the chef, let's assume that I'm the chef and I'm making this pizza, if I'm
Uh-huh.
slicing this fresh mozzarella, you will more than likely find a few spots on the slice. You know how some pizza
Yeah.
just has like spots
So
and
yeah,
it's used with fresh
basically
mozzarella.
it's you're using fresh mozzarella balls and then from there because of the way they're shaped in production you can pull big chunks of it. So I think yours, instead of having an even layer of mozzarella, it would be a more open pizza where you
Yes.
can actually see the sauce and it has a little bit of more color contrast because there would
Hmm.
be spots of pulled mozz and then spots of sauce. I
Yes.
like this. I think this is a good pizza. I would probably order this if you told me that it had the spicy Beyond sausage and it
Hmm.
had fried pepperoni. I would
Yes.
order this drunk every day and sober as well. I'm not a very smart person. I
I
would just
would
go
same
wild.
thing, same thing. I would have it literally any moment. Actually, I'm sorry, but I've had pizza for breakfast before, and sometimes it's this type of pizza because I have made this type of pizza before. So you know, I,
Pretty good. I mean, I
sue
respect
me.
this. I will never judge someone. That's not true. I'll probably judge someone in the future. You can turn this put it against me. But I will never judge someone for having leftovers for breakfast because that's what most countries do. We just don't do that much in Canada. But
Right.
then again, we'll do it in secret. So if you're having pizza for breakfast, I'll join you. So my pizza, it's actually close to yours. So I would do a thin crust with that leoparding at the bottom, so spots that are darker than others. I would do a nice bubbly crust, so I would make sure to shape it so that bubbles remain at the edge, and then in the bake it would get really big and kind of ridiculous. But that
Hmm.
would be on purpose. It would all be for the look. I would use Rayo sauce. So I believe it's an American product. It's a very specific jarred sauce that they actually use for pasta. And it is so good. It's Italian tomatoes, onion, garlic, basil, oregano, classic. But there's something that happens in that jar that makes the sauce so good that
Hmm.
I'm even ashamed to admit I will buy that sauce when I have guests over, no matter the cost. So this week, and I hope my mom doesn't listen to this podcast, I paid $13 for it.
Oh my God.
And I was like, all right, I really want to give everyone the best shot, but I'm like ashamed, but at the same time I'm not because it and I'm very cheap in the grocery store, but this is the one product where I'll always make an exception. Rayo sauce is really good. So if I'm putting my stamp on a pizza, unless I made the sauce from San Marzano tomatoes or I got Rayo sauce, and then the pizza is $100 a slice. Then I would do same as you, pulled mozz. I want those nice, beautiful chunks, and I want that mouth feel of taking a bite and having that mozz slipping off and coming in with the rest. I think that's
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly. Oh my God.
It's beautiful and poetic. Then I would use a very spicy soy chorizo. So, very spicy, like medium. But for example, in the US, at Trader Joe's, they sell a spicy soy chorizo for like $2.
Hmm.
And it is so good. And it makes me so happy. So, like, I've traveled to the US before and only brought that back. Like, my priorities are poor. I didn't bring back any souvenirs. I forgot to take pictures, but I had soy chorizo from Trader Joe's. that, that gives you an idea.
That's
So I would
valid.
have that one. I would have that one from the US. I would drive every week to a Trader Joe's in Detroit to get it, and I would come back. Then I would do very thinly sliced red onion slivers because I like this acidic sweetness that they bring. I guess I just love sweet and sour. Then I would do oyster mushrooms,
Mhm.
and just to get that umami, that richness, and I like that by their shape, they'll go along well with the pole mots because they'll have, a matching size. And
Yes.
then right before I serve it, I'm going to put a drizzle of olive oil, Italian seasonings, and parm, and out it goes. And it's $500,000. that's,
Oh
that's,
man,
that's, that's
that
my
caught me
pizza.
off guard. Oh
Because like
man.
I really wanted to have all those specific ingredients. It's like the Windsor pizza. I want it to be this or nothing else. And so I would really defend the cost of making it because it's like the margins would be terrible unless it's $500,000. But yeah, that would be my pizza, and then I would call it the Abyss because it would put you in a financial hole from ordering it.
I
But
see why now.
there would be that one dude on Instagram who would brag about getting it. Like Kanye would brag about getting it. You know?
100%. Yes.
100%. And then Drake would buy it for somebody else. Like that kind of vibe. So that would be my pizza. Now, there's a couple of pizzas that we have to acknowledge that we've skipped over today because we made the bold decision to put a pizza like item in the list. But there are two pizzas that are actual pizzas that haven't made the cut, and yet Canada has been blessed with them. The first one is the Pictou County pizza. It's described as a thick, chewy dough, a spicy brown sauce, and a Halifax made Brothers pepperoni shipped frozen across the country because it's just that popular. Now, I personally would love to try just the sauce they made. The idea of a brown sauce on pizza sounds unusual, but I think I've been proven wrong enough times today that I would
Yes.
be more than open to trying it. The reason why we haven't had it is because it sounds like the brothers pepperoni is a really crucial element, and that's not something I would be able to satisfy. But I know you can order that sauce online, and I swear I will. Or if I can contact actually the people behind that pizza and get the recipe to, if it's not vegetarian, to make it myself,
Mhm.
I would, and I would immediately make my own. So there's the Pictou County. Now the other one, it makes me laugh a lot. I sus- I suspect I've had it. I would have to ask my parents because that's something they would probably do on like an off weekend, like just to serve the kids. It's called pizza Getty. Do you know what it is?
No clue, but I feel like I want to say that maybe Lisa has talked about this before.
She might have. This is right in her food. I want to say spectrum,
Yes,
because
yes.
she eats very much Quebec food, and she's like it's not. I love her palate, but she's very OG Quebecer. Whenever I think about making a Quebec menu, I would think
Mhm.
of asking her what she would eat.
Yeah.
So it's a pizza that is made in Quebec, that is made by gently laying a somewhat thin layer of spaghetti in a tomato sauce on top of a pizza crust before topping it off with an insane amount of cheese and
Hmm.
baking it in the oven. Now, there's there's a thing in Quebec that I found out recently Anglos don't know about. When we make spaghetti sauce, we call it spaghetti sauce.
Right.
So we have a very specific sauce. Every family has their own recipe, and we'll put like in my family we put carrots and we put celery, and like it's a very specific thing, and every family has their own variation. I thought that everyone had that. Like my family recipe has at least 25 ingredients, and we call it spaghetti sauce, and we have jars of it canned that we call spaghetti sauce. Apparently, that's not a thing. So I suspect online when they wrote tomato sauce, they meant spaghetti sauce. That's something I would mess with. Would you try pizza Getty?
Yes, yes, I would. It doesn't sound too bad. Again, after today, I would be very down to also try that spicy brown sauce from the Pictou County Pizza. Um,
Yeah.
I, I'm down. I'm down to try everything. And Pizzaghetti isn't that far fetched, so in my opinion, it'd be like, sure, yeah, it's just another day.
To me, it's something that I would make specifically on a rainy day where like it's the, or like a snowstorm day where it's the third snowstorm in the month where the kids had to stay home. And I love them, but I also hate them, but I have to entertain them. So for dinner that day, to make everything easy for everyone, I would make pizza Getty like 100%. Like I would run to make it because all you need is pasta. You can use store bought sauce, cheese, and dough, and your kids are gonna lose their minds, and you don't have to worry about picky eaters. To me, that's genius.
We actually
That's
have 2 jars of Lisa's father's spaghetti sauce that he makes.
hell yeah.
So I could actually make that Pizzaghetti
You
as
should make
well.
it.
Like I could make that. So I'm thinking, yeah, actually, I'm thinking about actually trying that this week. Next time I go to the store
So
to buy some stuff.
make it. Send me a picture, and then we'll make an entry in the Canadian Encyclopedia about Canadian pizza Getty, and
Yeah.
I'll use that picture to show to
Okay.
people that you've done it, and then we
Sure.
can.
Yeah, I'll
That
make
would
it
be
for
really
Lisa.
cool.
I feel like she would enjoy it. She'd
Oh,
probably like it.
she's gonna enjoy it 100%. She's gonna be obsessed.
Yeah, I
Now,
think I'll do this. I think I'm gonna do this on probably on Wednesday.
that's gonna be really cool. So yeah, now we have come to the end of our pizza quest.
Yeah, probably this was probably the best episode ever. I literally love pizza so much. I could eat it every single day. So I am extremely appreciative of this episode specifically.
Yeah, it, I mean, it was not. what I expected from beginning to end.
Not
It
at
was
all.
it was a lot of negative smack talk, but a lot of positive feedback. It was
Yeah.
like a wild ride, but a really fun one. I personally really appreciated Canadians took something from Italian cuisine, a notoriously incredibly traditional cuisine, and just disregarded every rule in the book.
Mhm.
And I think that has made the world of pizza a much better one for sure.
And I agree 1000%. Literally, this was a really good episode. It was really fun to make. But yeah, thank you for listening to the Canadian Food Podcast. We sure hoped you liked this episode.
Now, if you liked it, leave a 5-star review online wherever reviews are done. I don't know. And let us know what you liked and what you truly hated. Now, is there a regional Canadian pizza we haven't covered? Let us know which one it is via email at the Canadian Food Podcast at hotmail.com. Extra points if you send us a picture. You can also check out our website, thecanadianfoodblog.ca. If your name is Ricardo and you'd like to hire us, please contact me on Facebook. I'm sure we could work this out. And if you would like to hear this podcast all over again in French, Le Podcast La Bouffe Canadienne is available now wherever you got this podcast from. Go listen to it. If you thought this episode was long, you haven't seen nothing yet.
It is a true statement. I'd also like to add on just a little tidbit. When you say Ricardo, are you talking about that one guy that is like the guy here in Quebec that
The
is like really
the
well known,
yeah,
really popular?
the
Are you
biggest Canadian chef of all times.
Oh my
Absolutely, I am.
God.
Oh,
I'm
I know his research team. I know they're onto us. I know they're watching every second of this, and I know they've already found out where I live.
I,
I just want them to contact me directly instead of just playing those games.
you have no idea how obsessed I am with this guy because when I first got here and I saw this everywhere in stores, I would always tell Lisa, I'm like, who is this guy? Who's this guy? And I was like, every time I see his products now, that's all I want to buy. Just because
So
he's so widely known here. I have no clue about any of this, but he's so widely known. I want to buy his stuff.
he's done a lot of really good food series, and he's done a series that was specifically about Canada. I think it was when we were celebrating our 150th anniversary. He made a series celebrating every tidbit of Canada and every local produce and food, and it is beautiful. And what has made him so successful is that he's a bilingual food writer and food enthusiast, and he works specifically in food media, and everything he's done is really good, and he has a very successful chain of restaurants. And what I've learned about him through the grapevines of people in the entertainment industry is that his team is really, really good when it comes to research. So I knew that the second a bilingual Canadian woman from Quebec was going to put something out there about Canadian cooking, he was going to look at it and see that I was someone who could take over his business. Now, I intend to do just that if he would let me. So, Ricardo, we don't need to play those games. We can do this one-on-one. Invite me over, invite Juan, invite Anne. We can hatch something together. I can help you record those TikToks you've been making that have been unsettling most of Canada. I've got this. We can do this together.
Imagine he reaches out to you and he's just like, "Are you threatening me? Are you trying to do this right now?" My God, we make this into a whole competition. We're gonna end up losing.
Oh no, I'm never doing a cooking competition against Ricardo. Oh God, he would julienne my ass into oblivion. Forget about it.
Anyways, yeah, come back next week for another episode, and the week after that for just one more.
And if you're Ricardo, we can send you special episodes. Some extras are real. We can send you anything you want in any language we want. On est là pour toi. Okay, that's it. Have a good day.